Thank you. We're going to finish this debate by moving back to our final two paper speakers. Our final speaker in proposition of the motion is the Right Honourable the Baroness Bennett. Baroness Bennett has been a Green Party life peer in the House of Lords since 2019, having led the party from 2012 to 2016. She's a prominent voice on education and constitutional reform and is also the author of Change Everything, How We Can Rethink, Repair and Rebuild Society. Baroness Bennett, you have the ears of the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. And I want to say very sincerely a thank you to pretty well every speaker who's spoken against the proposition, because you've given so many weapons to me to finish off with. So thank you very much for that. And I think I probably am going to start, was it Charles? Sorry, I didn't quite catch. Daniel, sorry, I didn't quite catch your name. Daniel, I want to say thank you very much for presenting such a case of fantasy land. We are living in a sophisticated democracy. This, where we have a government, Sir Keir Starmer, who got the support of 34% of the people who voted in the election last year, and he got 100% of the power in the House of Commons. That was 20% of eligible voters who voted for the government that is now governing us now. But we're told the foundation of this system is all there, the monarchy, holding this all together. Well, I'm going to deal with some more details about the monarchy, but I'm going to come back to that point and say that the time for the monarchy is up, but also the time for our outdated, dysfunctional, undemocratic constitution is entirely up, and we need to make Britain a democracy, which it is not now. Delighted.
Just as a point of clarity and more information, were you elected to the House of Lords or appointed to it?
Thank you very much for saying that, and actually I'll pair that with what Jonathan said and why I want to say thank you very much to Jonathan for the contribution he made, because he gave me the opportunity to point out that when I was elected leader of the Green Party in 2012, we had a membership of about 8,000 members. By the time I left membership of the Green Party, we'd been through the Green Surge. We had actually had about 50,000 plus members. We now have more than 60,000 members. And I'm getting to this. Give me a second. Wait. And in the 2015 election, because of that utterly undemocratic constitution, the Green Party got 1.1 million votes and still only elected one Green MP. We would have elected 25 MPs if the number of votes had matched the number of seats. Can I finish this point of information first? So when I was offered a seat by Theresa May in her resignation list, or when the Green Party was offered a seat and I chose to, I was representing those 1.1 million people who'd voted Green, who did not get representation because our system is not democratic. Okay.
When I said sophisticated, I didn't mean perfect. To say that, the number of votes did not translate into a number of seats, would you rather that there were sort of 100 plus reform MPs in the House of Commons right now? I think that actually the broad will of the people, which was that the Conservatives are out, that translates into a large Labour majority with protest votes. I think the system of constituencies is able to account for that in a way that isn't a sort of utterly blunt, proportional, well, you've clearly protest voted, here's 100 MPs.
I'll invite the House to consider if you think first past the post is appropriate for the age of five-party politics, when people can get elected with, say, 22% of the vote in a seat. How's that going to work out? Do you want a lottery? Might be an alternative. Okay, I think I'm going to try and make some progress at this point. Answering Jonathan's points about what's the alternative, who else is there? Well, I think my side has already presented a number of cases, but I'm going to point particularly to a woman I had a privilege of sharing a platform with, Mary Robinson, who was the President of Ireland, went on to be the President of the Elders, following on in the footsteps of Nelson Mandela. Countries can make different kind of non-political choices. There's no problem with that. Now, I want to pick up what Kalechi said, and I'm so delighted, and we hadn't compared notes in advance, the idea of universal basic income, the payment to everybody in society to meet their basic needs. And what I would say is this is the opposite of monarchy. The monarchy means you happen to be born in a place and you get a huge amount of resources. UBI society is one where everybody has enough resources to meet their needs. And both of the speakers on my side made the comparison between the homeless people, the homeless children. 1 in 29 children in London is living in temporary accommodation, very often bed and breakfast, growing up in utterly inadequate surroundings. And just down the road from them is Buckingham Palace. That's the society we're in. And for those who are saying that we're now in a wonderful society that's all going terribly well, I will point to an unlikely right-wing source. For those who haven't seen it yet, the front page of The Spectator, out today, the right-wing establishment news magazine, Scuzz Nation. That's what they're saying. Britain is not working, and that's not solely the fault of the monarchy, but the monarchy is there as the representation of that. Now, I want to thank Jessie for her contribution, the historical reflections. For those who haven't worked it out yet, my accent comes from Australia originally, and Britain, with its monarchy, was, of course, at the heart of one of the world's enormous genocides there in Australia, which cannot be forgotten. I want to pick up, there's a couple of points from Count Nikolai that I do have to pick up. I was reminded of speaking at an event with an American author called Jason Brennan against democracy. He didn't believe in democracy. He thought that only people with master's degrees and above should have a say in how a society's run, people like him. And I sort of got the sense Count Nikolai was feeling that, we should have a hierarchy of people just up there, because, democracy is not...
Did I actually say anything referring to that?
Yes. You said that democracy was a terrible thing, producing results like Donald Trump. And I would say that Donald Trump is a sign of not having a democracy. But, and I really did enjoy the Count Nikolai taking credit for the... actions of his ancestors, which did feel very sort of monarchical, really, didn't it? Including strangling the heir to the throne. I'm not quite sure how that works. Count Nikolai admired Prince Albert. This is the man who, in a speech in 1848 to the Society for the Improvement of the Condition of the Labouring Classes, said it's a duty of those who, under the blessings of divine providence, enjoy station, wealth and education, to assist those less fortunate. Monarchy is founded on a profoundly patronising idea of people in society. Now, the first speaker for the proposition was actually quite kind to Prince Charles, King Charles, but I think it was one of the floor speakers was referencing visits around the world. Well, Declassified UK has recounted the visits that Charles III has made since the Arab Spring in 2011, has had 120 meetings with the royal families of 8 Middle East regimes, including Qatar, Bahrain. The late Queen said she would not have her photo taken with the Sheikh of Dubai after a British court ruled that he had abducted and detained 2 of his adult daughters. And yet Charles chose to have his photo taken with that sheikh. Please.
Wasn't it your friend, the elected, lovely President of Ireland, who also helped cover up for that kidnapping, the Sheikh of Dubai? I believe she was human rights in trouble for that, Mary Robinson.
I'm afraid I have no knowledge of that information. I'd be surprised, put it that way. Also, we've heard that we have a constitutional monarchy. Well, I'd invite you, those who haven't seen this before, the Black Spider memos. When he was the heir to the throne, Prince Charles, writing in a private capacity, wrote hundreds of letters to government departments, including a letter on the day of the Countryside Alliance March in 2022, agreeing with the view of a farmer from Cumbria, who said about the treatment of rural workers, if we were black or gay, we would not be so victimised. So those who make a claim that our royal family is not taking political positions and does not have political influence, if you think a letter from the heir to the throne is just going to be like a letter from a private citizen in Peckham or in Cumbria, I think you are kidding yourself. We've got onto the archaism of being the defender of the faith. The Act of Settlement of 1701, which says the monarch has to be a Protestant Christian. The Royal Marriages Act of 1772, all the descendants of George II have to get monarch's approval to marry, but that's all right. They changed that law in 1977, and now it's only the 6 heirs to the throne who have to get the monarch's approval to marry. No, I haven't got time. So I come to my final point, and I'm going to come back to Henry and the challenge that Henry put to me about, swearing an heir to well, I actually put out a press release before I went into the House of Lords as a leader of the Green Party when one of the royal princes was born, I've forgotten which one, and said what I wanted to see was when he turned 18 that he should have exactly the same rights as every other child born that day to do whatever he wanted with his life. So I'm calling for human rights for royals. They should have exactly the same rights as everybody else. And I'm going to pick up, finally, the point made by the first speaker for the proposition. Equal rights for everybody, including royals. Then, of course, they can stand for election as president. And they will be treated exactly the same as everybody else. And if you want to live in a country where everybody is treated with equal rights, equal opportunities, then saying the time for the monarchy is up, putting your token into that bowl, that's what you're voting for. Thank you.